You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Brother, what a game. What a day. How did the Red Raiders do today? Do you have an update on that?
Victorious in Salt Lake, Michael. And I'll tell you, only one of us had us doing that.
What?
I don't know.
What are you talking about? We both picked Tech
In
to win.
our preseason predictions, I think you were a little more soft
No.
on this game.
Uh-uh.
I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't have the notes
Was it this
pulled in
one?
front of us. Texas Tech
wait a
wins
minute, maybe-
34-10.
It was Arizona
today.
State was the one.
Up there in Salt Lake. I say up there like it's not only 1,000 feet in elevation difference from Lubbock, but just in the Great Salt Lake Valley itself in Utah. I would be wrong if I told you I expected the game to go this way. I expected the game.
I lost you. I can't hear you.
Maybe.
I can hear you now.
Man, this is just fantastic.
Sort of. Now it's staticky. Well,
Oh, man.
Unlike Texas Tech got off to a very good start
Yes,
today. Okay.
I love this for us to do this. As soon as we go live, then we hit the audio issues. It's my favorite.
Are you hearing them too?
Or give me half a second.
Okay. For those of you in the stream, hello. I'll see if I can get over to comments. Let's see. Nope. That's chat support. That's not helpful. Okay. Live stream chat. Yo, Haley. Good to see you. TW, who has it better than us? Also static AF, which I was hearing that too, TW. So hopefully it's fixed. Spencer's back. What's up?
I can hear you just fine.
Michael is clear as day, as I always am. I'm so articulate. Unless I'm trying to say brewery or rural, then it's all out the window.
Greg Biggs. What's up, Briggsy? Not Biggsy. Bigsy. Bigsy. We are.
Howdy, y'all.
Bigly. All right. Where I was
We're
going
back.
before audio technical difficulties, I thought the first three quarters of the game was going to be about what to be expected. Outside of the penalties, I thought the back and forth nature of it, probably fewer turnovers for sure. But tough, fought yards, very difficult to move the ball. I thought that was going to be difficult. Having that big breakaway play on the first possession, I thought that the more previews and more talking heads I saw throughout the week, because everybody had an opinion on this game, the more I thought like, okay, the Texas Tech offense is explosive. You can't make an offense explosive. Like Utah wasn't going to all of a sudden be explosive. You could reduce what Texas Tech is able to do, but you probably can't take all that away. Obviously, that sets you up for your first score. And so a lot of people were upset about downfield blocking on that one. I was like, this is behind that pass was completed behind the line of scrimmage. Not that I want to get into too deeply into the officiating because I thought it was sketch.
But you
then
always do, so that's fair.
It's where yeah.
That's week 4 Spencer right there. Sketchy officiating. We're in.
Yeah, mid-season form.
Mid-season form.
So
Heading into the bye week, feeling good.
But I would be wrong. I'd be lying to you if I told you I thought your defense was going to do what it did today. I thought you needed to work really hard to contain Utah. I wasn't expecting Utah to be explosive, so like that wasn't a thing. But like I didn't want to see Dampier running all over you and getting a lot of easy stuff underneath. But to finish the day with giving up 101 rushing yards on 3.3 yards per carry, that'll play. Dampier completing 66% of his passes, 25 completions for 162 yards. I can't do that math, Michael, but I can tell you it is not good. What is that? 6.5 yards per completion. And that's including a 50-plus yarder.
Well, that was that their only big play of the game, or did they have maybe 2 of them?
Let me see. Big plays. They had one big play of the game, Michael.
That was it.
And it was a 44-yard pass. That's what it was.
So, breaking, Arizona State just beat Baylor on a walk-off field goal, 27-24.
Who cares?
In Waco. They beat the Waco Bears. I care a little bit because I was watching this beforehand, and Baylor got called on a pretty bogus personal foul penalty where the Baylor defender had the audacity to try to tackle a wide receiver who apparently decided to slide. And so as the wide receiver, I mean, I didn't even know you could do that and be treated in the same fashion. That just blows my mind. But at least they didn't call a targeting foul. Anyway, so yeah, that helped aid that what ended up being a game-winning field goal drive. So sorry, back to the actual game we care about. Yeah, Spencer, what if I told you, hey, you're going to go on the road today. You're going to go to Utah. You are going to lose the penalty. The penalty game. You're going to have 14 penalties to their 2. You're going to have 3 turnovers, including 2 interceptions. We can get into whose fault those interceptions were later. But you're still going to be in it in the fourth quarter with your backup quarterback. Would you be like, how?
Well,
how is this going to happen?
Yeah, I would have told you, like, had you given me all those things, had you told me we were going to be minus 12 on the penalty matchup, that we were going to have 3 turnovers, and that we're going to be playing our backup quarterback, but still in the game, I was like, how's that even possible? It's because your defense absolutely smoked Utah today. Number 1 offensive line or best offensive line. They had a good place, and kept the combination of the play calling for the Utes offense, their offensive line, which is legit, and Dampier's skill, you got one sack, and it was when they had to throw the ball down 17 or whatever it was.
Yeah, there was definitely some deflected passes, some a lot of other. Well, and Klatt was pointing him out too, just the way that these guys were plugging the running lanes and getting double teamed and still pushing back against this offensive line.
There was a fantastic. I can't tell you what drive it was in. Klatt was talking about how just unbelievable the Texas Tech defensive line was. That Utah double teamed Lee Hunter, and Lee Hunter stood his ground. He did not move backwards.
Right.
He had 700
running
pounds
back ran
of man
into him,
pushing on him, and he's like,
"No, not today. Not this play."
So you got one sack, and you're credited with 0 hurries. Again, a lot of that has to do with the play calling on offense. They tried to mitigate your pass rush. Also because that's just who Dampier is. But your defensive line still absolutely ate today. You had 4 tackles for loss. You had 2 forced fumbles. Like, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet how many times a double team was beaten, how many times a running lane that the Utah offensive line may have opened up got closed right back down again before the running back could get there. It's not going to show that, like, for the most part, your tackling was just on point. There were a couple of times when it was like an arm tackle because you were just out of position. But man, I would be lying if I told you I saw that kind of defensive performance happening. You gave up 10 points, and I was salty when they gave up that first field goal, because you were playing a little bit of a prevent defense before the half and let Utah drive down the field a little bit. Got some rigidity in your backbone there, held him to a long field goal attempt, and he missed it. But
that was not roughing, was it? Come on. He rolled into his shoelace.
He landed, basically landed on either on his shoe top or like in front of his foot. And the kicker sold it. Like, it was close enough. He sold it, and it was believable.
Yeah, I mean, the Emmys were just last week, and this should have, it's too late to submit this, obviously, but yeah, it's up there.
So he got a second attempt and drilled it. It was basically an extra point. And then in the second half, Utah had their own big play, and that led to their first and only touchdown. So those are your only points your first team defense has surrendered, and it came against Utah. But in a game where they never led, and it was only tied when it was 0-0. So from your opening possession, because you scored first, until the final whistle, you led essentially wire to wire. So let's go. Let's step back here. I do want to talk about defense, but I want to talk about offense first. It definitely picked up, and I think a lot of it had to do with your depth and conditioning, or however you want to say it, that you wore down Utah late in the game. You were not able to move the ball very much early on. Your offensive line, whether because of penalties or because they were just getting eaten alive by John Henry Daly, you weren't able to do a whole lot outside of short completions that then turned into long completions because of downfield blocking and incredible playmakers in Jacoby Williams. But when Joel Klatt mentioned it early on in the second quarter that the Utah defense was looking like they were getting winded, and they showed it very visible. It was like end of third, into the fourth quarter. They just like panned across the defensive line, and they were like, and then like Texas Tech was just like pound, 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 driving on them. I was like, "Yep, this is
that elevation.
It's not going to go well for the Utes." Which is why you get to play like Cameron Dickey's second touchdown.
Yes.
He was bottled up at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
But somehow got through it and then ran for another 20 yards to score.
Well, and Tech was obviously. I mean, I loved the play calling there. That entire drive, they had the ball for 3 minutes and 47 seconds. When Dickey scored, there was 3:41 left, and it was obviously on a play that they didn't plan for him to score. I think they were going to just eat as much clock as possible, and probably not. I don't think you're going to be able to have you'll still have to give the ball over. I think one way or another, Utah was going to get another possession, but the obvious goal there was to we can do what we want. So let's get 4 yards of play and just get down the field, get another score, and fine, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. That showed the fatigue there. That showed the toughness of Texas Tech traveling all the way up to that crazy elevation up there. As if Lubbock is not at 3,400 and full of just really great football players. So anyway, I was really enjoyed that drive. That was just a pleasure to watch, especially after knowing how it was going to go. Because I was in the soccer fields this afternoon, but I did get to watch the second half. I rewatched it, so I listened to it, but I didn't fully get to appreciate, the play calling and the pacing and how they were slowing things down and, not getting plays off just because they could. It was just really well done, but dang it, Utah just forgot how to tackle again and, forced Tech to get a chance for another possession after that interception.
I don't want to take anything away from this win. And that's not what I'm going to.
No, please don't. Where are you going? I'll stop you. I'll pull the plug. Utah, is there a way to unplug it?
Utah is winless in Big 12 games at home.
They are. The Gauchos tweeted this out. They are 2-8 in the Big 12. I think.
Okay, so one thing also, I think I was trying to guard my own emotions or whatever. I was downplaying the effect of the Utah crowd going into the game. I was like, a 10 a.m. kick in front of 50,000 people is not going to be that bad. It was a mess.
Oops.
Your offensive line couldn't hear the clap, couldn't get the snap count. It looks like you had no other cadence prepared because you didn't change, and you got hit with 8 false starts. And I say got hit with because this was all on you. Like, it wasn't like,
oh yeah,
oh, what are you doing? No, I think you committed 8 false start penalties.
Only 7.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. That's atrocious. And you're right. Credit to the Utah crowd being out there at 10 o'clock their time.
Give them credit.
Doing their jobs.
Give them credit until they got down by 2 scores and they all hit the exits like that.
I mean, it was fast.
They
needed to get that lawn mowed or something.
That Cam Dickey touchdown, like as they were watching the net go up, the background was nothing but the stairs being packed, moving up. It's like, it was like 4 minutes left in this game. Where y'all going?
It was nothing but net.
They knew. And then it was even more atrocious after the Reggie Virgil. Granted, like, he scored. There was a first play after the 2-minute timeout. Like, there was very little time left. And at that point, you were up 34-10. But they like panned the stadium. I was like, hundreds of people left. Hundreds. Like, y'all. Jeez. Okay. Anyways, yes, raucous environment. I was still contend that like it may have been loud, but Texas Tech has played in Big 12 stadiums that are all bigger than that for decades. We've gone on the road in front of 85,001. We've gone on the road in front of 100,001. Gone in front of 51,000. I guess 52,000 today and won. Like, all right. The other thing, offensive line wise, John Henry Daly for the Utes defense and defensive end just had his way with Samson today. I think he had, let's see, defense. He had 1 sack. It shows 0 hurries. That's not true. Neither team has any hurries. So maybe stat broadcaster's not updated there yet. And 1 forced fumble. He was having a lot of success today. I don't love that he got some hits in on Morton, and it looked like just a collection of hits eventually sent Morton to the locker room today. He was beat up bad. One of them you could argue was targeting. I mean,
Are you talking about the one that sent him out of the game in the third quarter?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that was just it looked like his the defender's shoulder pad hit Morton's helmet. I mean, it was one of those things that was just tough. That was a tough hit. I didn't see anything malicious, but man, it worried me to see Morton's head bounce like it did, and you could see his helmet shift off of his head. You know, it stayed on, but it shifted quite a bit, and so in slow motion, man, that really looked worrisome. And McGuire did. Someone asked him about when Morton got up from that. It looked like he was holding on to someone's jersey to stay up, and McGuire said no, that wasn't it. He just didn't want to come out of the game. So I think he was trying to either downplay or just outright say that there were no concussion issues or worries. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, just based off of how hard he hit and how his head threw back and hit on that turf, that was really tough.
So yeah, I don't love how much he got roughed up a little bit. That first quarter back and forth of those drives here. Let me go. Okay. Texas Tech started the game with the ball. It was touchdown, then Utah punt, Texas Tech punt, Utah downs, Texas Tech interception, Utah fumble, Texas Tech punt, Utah fumble, Texas Tech interception. Like, it was just wild. That little span there to, like, I was not having a good time.
No.
Through the first quarter. I was not having a good time when Utah scored their touchdown there at the opening of the fourth quarter. I didn't like it through all of the third quarter too. It was like, I don't like close games. Back and forth maybe, but this, like, literally every drive means something. I don't like it. My little heart couldn't handle it.
Yeah, we already mentioned it, but that field goal attempt after the roughing the kicker right before half felt huge. That just felt massive that they got a second shot at it and it went in, and it kind of felt like a momentum shift to me, and it proved to sort of be that way until, I mean, because then Morton goes out, I think in the first drive or the first offensive drive of the second half, and then Hammond comes in and doesn't really get moved until his third drive. So I mean, it was a tough game. Those first 3 quarters were not fun to watch or to experience.
Yeah. So Morton's first drive was 3 plays, minus 13 yards. Hammond's first drive, 6 plays, 26 yards. Second drive, 5 plays, 11 yards. His fourth drive, started, it spanned over from third quarter into fourth. 12 plays, 79 yards, ended with a field goal, which was the closer of the two. I hated, like you got robbed, and it was bang bang, and like I know they can't spend like all that much time on reviews during the game. That Reggie Virgil pass on the sideline, it's absolutely a catch.
He had like one cleat length above the wide on the sideline, and it was a catch. Everyone thought it was a catch, but the officials. So
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how that
that's
would
how
have
that
changed
goes.
things. You had a first down inside the 5. I'm going to say that you score there. You score a touchdown there, but you kick a field goal there. And that was 12:33 left. Then that starts. You go up 10 points there. You go up 13-3. Utah then responds, drives the length of the field, scores their only touchdown. And I was like, oh, here we go. Because like, okay, halftime, we hop up, we run, we go grab lunch. And I was telling somebody, I was like, the second half's going to open up a little bit. We got to be ready. It was like more like gearing myself up because like oh my gosh, was not doing well the first half. I was like, it's going to open up a little bit. The scoring's going to go back and forth. It's going to be okay. We're going to see who can withstand, body blows down, whatever. They score that touchdown and gets now within 3. It's 13-10. I was like, and then Bill Hammond proceeds to go
Wild
four,
Bill.
4 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. 7 plays, 68 yards, touchdown. 3 plays, 28 yards, touchdown.
Well,
I
and
mean,
a
he was
couple of those. I
dropping
mean, just
dimes. He
oh
was
my gosh.
running like he was making things happen on the ground himself. He was checking in the right plays. I mean, it was just beautiful. I saw more than one Utah fans that are, I didn't deep dive their accounts saying, how is their backup so good?
That's Texas high school football. You got a guy that can, get 3,300 yards in his senior year or whatever the stat was. Go Hippos. That's who you want. And he had 3 incompletions on the day. He was almost Texas Tech's leading rusher and didn't even play for 2 full quarters. He had 8 attempts for 61 yards rushing, including that 32-yarder where he escaped a couple of tackles, and Gus Johnson for some reason kept wanting him to go down, and I'm like, no, you haven't seen this guy. He did eventually, but it was just kind of like, I got nowhere else to go. It wasn't like well, obviously I'm going to slide because I've got the first. No, that's not how Hammond rolls. And so, that's how you get almost 8 yards per carry out of your backup quarterback.
Yeah. So Morton plays now 4 games and 4 halves.
Yeah, he has yet to finish a game this season. 2 of them were not injury related, as everyone knows, but still, that's not a fun stat.
Yeah, the bright side is if it is concussion or concussion related or concussion precaution, you're off this weekend.
Yep.
You got 2 weeks to get right before you're on your on the road to Houston. Even beyond that, Will Hammond is more than capable to fill in. Morton finishes the day 12 of 19 for 142 yards, no touchdowns, but two interceptions. Let's talk about those for a second. I can't remember the order of it. The one he threw up the sideline to Douglas.
Douglas was first. Yeah.
Like Texas Tech had just gotten flagged for defensive pass interference. And then their corner runs through Douglas's chest and the ball bounces up. I was like, you're not, so you called a pretty tight defensive pass interference on the other side, but then allow the cornerback to run through our receiver. Like it was an underthrown ball. Our receiver was stopped. He turned around, back shoulder, whatever you want to call it, to make the adjustment on the ball. Defender never looks, just plows right into his chest. The ball hits the defender in the
back of his head. Yeah.
Pops up and is intercepted. Okay. So that one, like, it was underthrown. I didn't love that throw, but like, I don't really think that was Morton's fault. I wouldn't place 100% of the blame on Morton. Okay.
Agree.
Second one, he throws the ball. It's a one-on-one matchup with Coy. Um, again, adjustments are being made. It was at least momentarily in Aiken's hands, or he touched it or something, bobbled enough. Defender had his hands in there, took it from him. It's like, well, I mean, if the receiver had his hands on it, like that's also not really on Morton. It's not like it hit him in the hands and it popped up, or he threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at somebody 5 feet from him. So he threw 2 interceptions. Not a great stat line to finish the day on. There were obviously some throws that were affected by the pressure, by the rush, by the play, whatever you want to say. I don't think he had a great day, but I don't think those interceptions are all on Morton.
I agree. I think the first one to Douglas was really just almost a tip drill that didn't go right. Douglas had a chance to grab it, but it would have been a big ask for him to try to get that with his being in midair at the same time. And I don't want to call out Aiken, but I do think he should have caught that ball. That should have been a touchdown. That's no need to belabor or anything along that, but that I don't think that was on Morton. Perhaps Morton should have thrown to the other shoulder if he could have, but it was close enough, obviously, to make a play on it and get in the end zone.
Yeah. Then Hammond comes in. He goes 13 of 16 for 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 81% completion percentage. His quarterback rating on Stat Broadcast is 211.2. Morton's was 105. Dampier's was 91.
I wonder what Morton's would have been if you could just magically take those interceptions away. It probably would have been pretty similar.
Would have been a lot better. I do think Hammond gets a lot of credit for those touchdowns, although he was throwing dimes. Like
He was, man.
that drop up the sideline to Douglas. It was inches maybe too far. But then to go right back to it the very next play and just drop it in the basket, it's like, oh man.
His receivers were killing it too. I mean, like they were on it. Carter had a great catch. I know that Virgil had some great ones. Aiken had some good ones for him. Douglas had that crazy one midfield where he could have been snapped in half by 2 defenders. I mean, it was a collaborative effort. That's for sure. We're crediting the receivers, but my gosh, that ball was right where it needed to be in every one of those instances. I just was thoroughly impressed by that.
Quarterbacks finished 25 of 35 for 311 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Rushing, I thought, you had mixed success early through the season. And going up against this defensive front, I thought you may have to lean on your passing attack. You went 37 carries for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, almost 5 yards a carry. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculously good. To take on, if you want to flip, like, again, your defense held this Utah rushing attack, which is their bread and butter, 31 carries, 101 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. They had a long rush, Michael, of 8 yards.
Yeah. And the thing I was worried the most about, which everybody is as Tech fans, is we mentioned it, but I don't know if we actually mentioned the stat. But Dampier, his ability to rush, that we've seen quarterbacks rush all over Texas Tech over the last over years and have nightmares of it. But that was the one thing in the back of my mind. I felt confident about the defense. I was still super impressed with what they were able to do, but I just didn't know if they could do all they needed to do plus contain him. And they did. He averaged 2.5 yards per carry, 11 attempts for 27 yards.
I was worried about Dampier. He's a dude.
Yes,
I'm not saying this now that you've beaten him and like I'm gonna praise him just because you got the best of him. Like Utah, this offense, their defense, like I'm impressed with them. Their defense is going to like make lots of people very frustrated the rest of the season. Dampier is going to make people really frustrated because they're going to get, a hand on him or near him, and then he's going to vanish.
Yes.
And he did that. He did it to you once, but only got 7 yards. No. What it was is he saw that rush coming in from John Curry and then found their tight end. Curry got too far upfield on that blitz. Dampier stepped up, but instead of running it, he threw it to his tight end, which was a great decision because he went on for 40 yards. You outgained them by more than 200 total yards of offense. 484 to 263. And I had this thought, and again, I wasn't like too concerned or focused on it, but I remember having this thought. You had a lot of great field position because of the turnovers in the first half. And then when you didn't turn the ball over, like you had decent punts. Utah had some kind of shakier punts. Like you were getting a lot of short fields. So it's like your total numbers may not look all that great. If you can continue to score, you weren't scoring. So that didn't end up mattering. But you held them to 263 yards. They were
and
the
better yardage
in the
was
half.
just nuts. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So Utah gained 143 yards in the first half. You had 183 yards. So it was real close first half. 183 to 145, 10 to 7. Sorry, 10 to 3. Second half, you tripled them up. 301 to 118. You had 132 rush yards to their 42. You were 13 of, like, obviously, this is where Hammond stat line comes in. 13 of 16 for 2 touchdowns and 162 yards. You had 5 penalties in the second half. You had 9 in the first. You were 5 of 9 for third downs in the second half. You were 4 of 8. So you were better in the second half, but still, I mean, you finished the game. I can do math. That is 9 of 17
on third down.
On third down, better than 50% on a team that didn't give up a lot of third downs. And you held them to 4 of 14 on third down. They were the best third down offense in the country.
And they were 0 for 2 on fourth down. So you were 4 of 14 or 4 of 16 on third and fourth down attempts.
Statement. I'm seeing a lot of people say that. It's just absolute statement of a game. I don't want to say everything gets easier from here because it paints a picture on your back, a target on your back, even more so than before. People want to see you fail. You still have the ability to have a bad game, to show poorly, to not travel or whatever. But when you win your toughest matchup, everything else, but I think we can do that. Nothing else scares me. It's going to be a battle. I'm not saying it's not going to be difficult. I was most concerned about today's game. I don't want to project anything because you've got 8 more games and 10 more weeks of things to shake out. But winning today absolutely helps keep you on the path to the goals you want for the end of the season. And I'll just say it that way. Had you lost, it would have been a little bit more difficult, still within reach, obviously, because it's early enough in the season. Utah's not out of this thing. You may see them again.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he and I were both pretty confident about Tech's chances in Salt Lake City today, but we both thought, man, if things go poorly, that bye week is going to be rough. It's just going to be. It was going to be a not good hang for the next couple of weeks. But thanks to Wild Bill Hammond, not a problem, not an issue. And hey, let me propose another nickname. So, Texas Tech's kicker,
Stones.
There it is. Stones Harrington, 58 yards.
Dude. And it had clearance too. It hit the net.
I need to go back. I mean, obviously Garibay was against Utah. My gosh, I've got that state on my brain. Iowa State. That was a 60+ yarder, and I'm sure there's been something around that range in between, but not many. 58 yarders, probably one of the longest field goals since that one.
I mentioned to Samantha, and it was evident on kickoffs because everything Harrington touched like was landing outside the end zone. Like nothing was landing like even remotely close to being returnable or even caught.
It's that elevation.
And then he gets up, I didn't love that like they're setting up to kick a 58 yarder and Joel Klatt, I don't know if he's got the leg for it. His career long's 47. They need to have somebody under the goalposts. And then drills it with yards, several yards to spare. Like again, it hit the net above the crossbars. Like it had several. And he's like, Gus Johnson, take that, Joel Klatt.
58 yards,
which was great. And then Joel Klatt saying, "Oh my goodness, what a heck of a kick that was."
It was. It absolutely was. I wanted to highlight the punt team too. I mean, they had the most work they've had all year.
Suck.
They do, but the coverage was excellent today. There were 6 punts total, 5 of which landed inside the 20, and I think at least 2 of them were within the 5 or 10. So nice coverage on that. It was one of those games where you needed the punt game to do what they could do. But I think it was said on the broadcast there'd been 4 punts until today, and then there were 6 today. So Burgess with a little bit of a workout. Hope he's icing. Hope he's doing okay.
Burgess 6 punts, 248 yards, an average of just over 41 yards per punt, long of 54. Downing one on the 1. It's beautiful.
It is. See, punts don't always suck.
No, he was really good.
That was good.
You forced 7 Utah punts, 313 yards. They averaged almost 45 yards a punt. 3 inside the 20. You had 5 of Burgess's 6 were inside the 20. Phillips for Utah had 3 of 50 plus. Burgess had 2 of 50 plus. So,
yeah, I thought, I felt proud of myself thinking, especially when Utah's kicker Curtis missed that field goal right before halftime. I thought, man, I mentioned it on the podcast that the kicking game could be an issue for Utah. And then, of course, he gets a second chance, and then he never kicks again. And Tech wins by 24. But it was just there for a while. I was like, yeah, see, it's close. Who knows? If it comes down to Curtis having to kick one to win, it may not go Utah's way. But, yeah, he never came back out, at least not to kick a field goal.
Yeah. The other thing I want to touch on, defensive line, it was brought up in the chat. J.A. Ron says, Dampier's a terrible passer and missed several wide open receivers. Yeah, like absolutely.
Oh, man.
You had some troubles on pass coverage today. And had Dampier been more accurate or a better passer, this game may have been closer. It may not have gotten out of hand the way it did. A better QB would have made the defense pay. The game plan was pretty simple to just stack the box and force him to throw. But you have to know who you're going up against. We knew the Utah offense was not explosive. That he had the propensity to throw it to the other team, or he did last season, and up until today had not thrown an interception. But you had thoughts that obviously that player may still be there. Yeah. Even some throws that were like unpressured, he just whiffed on, which was just unbelievable to watch. There were a couple of Texas Tech throws too I would love to have back. That throw to Terrence Carter, oh my gosh, could not Aiken have been more wide open.
Well, Aiken was wide open too. If you go back and watch that, Aiken's defender either fell or ran into another Utah defender and was just standing in the middle of the end zone with no one within 20 yards Okay,
Yeah.
20 is probably an exaggeration. 5 or 10.
Yeah.
But he was just wide open. So yeah, there's going to be stuff like that all over the place wherever you look. But yeah, I mean, to pick some nets, that was a concern, to see some of those receivers that wide open and our guys get crossed up that much on in the secondary. I was not. I was thinking the same thing you were. Levitt would probably make us pay on that. Rocco Beck would probably make us pay on that. That kind of thing. Avery Johnson, I don't know, probably not. But there's some of these other guys might.
Connor Wegman, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it wasn't like the cleanest game that like you lead the game like, oh man, that was perfect. Let's move on to the next one. You have to figure out a secondary cadence for snapping the
Yes.
ball. You have to figure out how to nullify if they have a dude on in a position group somewhere. You have to figure out how to game plan that dude. Daly ate your lunch today. May have had something to do with knocking Morton out of the game. He was very slow to get up after he got drilled in the back on that fumble that Sampson and eventually recovered. Pass coverage breakdowns have to be cleaned up better. Just just overall penalties. Oh my gosh, a lot of them were procedural, right? Like 7 of the 4, half of them were false start or whatever.
Well, then there's that weird illegal shift where Carter was moving towards the line of scrimmage.
They could have called, like, that same type of motion happened several times for Texas Tech. They could have called Texas Tech up for that a few more times. I think that one guy was just like, he saw maybe one step too far or whatever. I don't know. You did benefit from a huge penalty for Utah. They scored a long touchdown and got called back on a defensive lineman downfield. Sampson got hold. Oh my gosh, it was huge. Sampson got called for a hold where it went from, you would have been 1st and 10 or 1st and goal from the 10 or whatever it was, to like 1st and 20 back to the 40 or the 50. It was like a 40-yard swing. It was a 10-yard penalty, but it negated a huge offensive play. Either way, you've got a lot of things penalty-wise to clean up. Defensive coverages. You will face better quarterbacks. Levitt. You don't face Hoover or Robertson. Man, you just got to clean a lot of stuff up. So
Jalen Daniels,
he'll probably have a little bit better time against you than Dampier if you don't fix that. But
should we do a look around the Big 12, by the way, speaking of?
Yeah, I've got those scores pulled up. Let's start with Friday night. Is Mike Gundy still employed? Is that Twitter account that's active right now?
Did you say Mike Gundy, or did you say Mike Dundee?
Oklahoma State loses at home to Tulsa 19-12.
I believe that was the last year they lost to Tulsa, was 1912. No, it was actually 1951. I think our guy Shahan had that queued up on the Twitter last night. So something that hasn't happened since the interstates were built or something. I was trying to come up with something. That sounds right.
All right. One game is currently ongoing. Colorado is up 20-3 on Wyoming at home. 3 minutes to go until half. Chase says, I just got here. Start over. All right. Hold on.
Hang on. All right.
Just kidding. Chase, you will have missed a several minute audio technical issue at the beginning. So just go ahead and skip through that when you listen back. Okay, TCU at home takes out SMU for the battle for the Iron Skillet 35-24. UCF took down handily North Carolina 34-9. Did not see that one go. I thought that game was going to be closer. I didn't. It's a big one. It's a big win for Scott Frost and the Knights. Another big win. Kansas takes down West Virginia 41-10 at home. West Virginia.
I did not believe that spread. I can't remember what you said, but I know for a fact that I think Kansas was a 13.5 or 14.5 favorite at home. And I thought, come on, the Nears are coming off of the backyard brawl. They're, I'm taking the points. Oops. That would have been bad.
West Virginia's passing game was horrendous. 17 of 31 for 142 yards, 4.6 yards per. I hope that's catch. It may be per attempt. Oh my gosh. No touchdowns, 1 interception. They did gain 182 yards on the ground on 41 carries, 4.5 yards per carry. Jalen Henderson may be a problem, running back for West Virginia. 7 carries, 79 yards, more than 11 yards per carry with a long of 32. So it's not like he broke off a 75-yarder and then just coasted the rest of the way. Michael, you mentioned Arizona State taking out Baylor there as we went live. 27-24. Arizona State moves to 3-1, bouncing back from that loss to Mississippi State. Baylor now 2-2. They have lost to Auburn and Arizona State. They will bounce back next weekend. They travel to Stillwater. They get Oklahoma State, then Kansas State, and then TCU. So they've got a couple chances to get right before they take on TCU, which is a big game for them. I'm sure they'll be ready for that. And BYU goes across country, take on East Carolina. 34-13 was that final for the Cougs.
Yeah, I think that was what type of line was that? Oh, it was just 5.5. It was just a touchdown.
Well, yeah, 5.5 points. Opened at -7.5, moved to 5.5, and then win by 21. So Wildwick.
And the game on my screen. Yes, the game on my screen right now at 10:50 p.m. Central Time is a classic Big Ten matchup of Michigan State at USC. If you're interested, such a storied rivalry there. A lot of people in the Michigan area upset that they have to stay up late to watch their team play football. It's a shame.
Can't stand it. I think
that's what the money is for.
We'll wrap it up here. We'll be back on Tuesday to look at what Texas Tech has done thus far in the season, where we were right, where we were wrong, and what this means going forward. Texas Tech, though, big time victorious tonight, this afternoon, 34-10 over the Utah Utes. We'll be back on Tuesday, but for Michael, I'm Spencer, and catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LVK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.